if you're waiting for the perfect time to change your life, you've already lost, because perfect people with perfect timing don't exist. But disciplined people with imperfect mornings become unstoppable forces. The harsh truth is that your current morning routine is producing your current results. And if you're not happy with your results, you need to get uncomfortable with your routine. While you're complaining about not having enough time, money, or opportunities, someone with less talent, fewer connections, and worse circumstances is building the life you want because they understood something you haven't. Success is available to anyone willing to sacrifice their comfort zone. Every morning you choose ease over effort. You're choosing your current life over your dream life. The only thing standing between you and the success you want is the person you are right now, and that person needs to change starting tomorrow morning. Here's what I want you to understand. What if I told you that the first hour of your day determines the success of the next 23 hours? What if I told you that how you start your morning is how you start your life? You might think that sounds too simple, but here's what I want to share with you. After studying successful people for decades, after watching the patterns of achievers and the habits of those who struggle, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Your morning routine is your life routine. Most people stumble out of bed, they grab their phone before their feet hit the floor, they check what everyone else is doing before they decide what they're going to do, they react to the world instead of creating their world, and then they wonder why their days feel out of control. They wonder why they feel like they're always behind, always catching up, always responding to life instead of leading it. But high achievers, they know something different. They know that mornings are sacred. They know that how you start is how you finish. They understand that success isn't an accident, it's a system. And that system begins the moment you open your eye. See, here's what most people don't understand. Your morning isn't just the beginning of your day. It's the foundation of your entire life. Every single morning you're either building success or you're building failure. There's no neutral ground. You're either moving forward or you're sliding backward. You're either taking control or you're giving control away. Think about it this way. If you were building a house, would you start with a weak foundation? Of course not. But that's exactly what most people do with their lives every single morning. They build their entire day on a foundation of hurry, stress, reaction, and chaos. Then they wonder why their life feels unstable. The wealthy know better. The successful know better. They don't leave their mornings to chance. They design them. They craft them. They protect them like the valuable assets they are. Because they understand something fundamental about success. Success is not an event. Success is a process. And that process begins every morning when you wake up. Now, I spent years studying this. I've watched people transform their entire lives by changing nothing but their morning routine. I've seen struggling individuals become successful entrepreneurs. I've seen people stuck in mediocrity break through to excellence, all because they learned to master their mornings. And here's the beautiful thing about morning habits. They compound. Just like money in the bank, just like knowledge in your mind, just like relationships in your life, every morning you invest in yourself, you're making a deposit in your future. Every morning you waste, you're making a withdrawal from your potential. I remember meeting a man once who told me he was tired of being average. He was tired of feeling like life was happening to him instead of for him. He was tired of ending each day feeling like he hadn't accomplished anything meaningful. Sound familiar? This man made one simple change. He started waking up 1 hour earlier. That's it, 1 hour. But here's what he did with that hour. He invested it in himself. He read, he planned, he exercised, he thought, he prepared, and within 6 months, his entire life had changed. His income doubled, his relationships improved, his health got better, his confidence soared, all because he learned to own his mornings instead of letting his mornings own him. This is the power I want to share with you today. The power of the morning routine, but not just any morning routine. The specific habits that separate high achievers from everyone else. The 5 non-negotiable practices that successful people do every single morning without fail. These aren't complicated habits. They don't require special equipment or expensive programs. They don't need perfect conditions or ideal circumstances. They just need you to decide. They need you to commit. They need you to understand that your morning routine is your success routine. Now here's what I want to share with you about these 5 habits, but more than that, let me show you how to build them into your life in a way that feels natural, sustainable, and powerful. Because knowing what to do isn't enough. You need to know how to do it. You need to know how to make it stick. You need to know how to turn these habits into your new way of life. The first habit might surprise you. It's not what most people think. It's not about motivation or positive thinking or visualization. It's much more fundamental than that. It's about time. It's about ownership. It's about taking control of the most valuable resource you have. Here's the truth about time that most people never learn. Time is the one thing you can't make more of. You can make more money, you can build more relationships, you can gain more knowledge, but you cannot make more time. The successful understand this. That's why they get up early. But getting up early isn't just about having more hours in your day. Anyone can wake up early and waste those hours just like they waste the rest of their day. Getting up early is about ownership. It's about claiming your time before the world claims it for you. Think about your typical day. From the moment most people wake up, they're responding to other people's priorities. The phone rings, the emails come in, the demands start piling up, family needs attention, work requires action, the day takes over, and you become a passenger in your own life. But when you rise early, something magical happens. You get time that belongs only to you. Time when the phone isn't ringing. Time when the emails aren't flooding in. Time when the world is still quiet and your mind is clear. Time when you can focus on what matters most to you instead of what seems most urgent to everyone else. Here's something I learned the hard way. For years I was like most people. I would wake up just in time to rush through my morning routine, shower, coffee out the door. Always running late, always feeling behind. Always starting my day in reaction mode. And you know what? My entire day would continue in that same frantic reactive pattern. Then one day I met a successful businessman who told me something that changed everything. He said, "Jim, if you want to change your life, change your mornings. If you want to take control of your day, take control of your first hour." That conversation happened over coffee at 6 a.m. While I was barely awake, he was already on his second cup. Having been up since 5 a.m., having already read for 30 minutes and planned his entire day, that's when it hit me. While I was still trying to wake up, he was already winning. While I was still figuring out what to do with my day, he had already mapped out his success. While I was reactive, he was proactive. The difference wasn't intelligence. The difference wasn't opportunity. The difference was timing. So I made a commitment. I decided to get up 1 hour earlier every day. Not because I'm naturally a morning person, not because it was easy, but because I understood that success requires sacrifice, and the sacrifice of sleep was worth the reward of success. Let me tell you what happened. The first week was hard, really hard. My body resisted. My mind made excuses. I wanted to hit the snooze button every single morning, but I had made a commitment. And commitments are what separates successful people from everyone else. By the second week, something started to change. I began to look forward to that quiet hour. It became my sanctuary, my time to think, to plan, to prepare, my time to work on myself before I had to work for everyone else. By the third week, I was addicted, not to the early hour, but to the feeling of control, the feeling of starting my day as the director instead of the actor, the feeling of proactive living instead of reactive surviving. And by the fourth week, the results were undeniable. I was more focused during the day, more productive, more confident, more in control. I was making better decisions because I had time to think before I had to act. I was solving problems before they became crises because I had time to anticipate instead of just respond. Here's what I want you to understand about rising early. It's not about becoming a morning person. It's about becoming a successful person. It's not about loving early hours. It's about loving the life that early hours make possible. The successful don't get up early because they enjoy it. They get up early because they enjoy what it produces. They enjoy the clarity it brings. They enjoy the productivity it creates. They enjoy the control it provides. They enjoy the confidence it builds. Now here's something practical I want to give you. Don't try to wake up 2 hours earlier tomorrow. That's a recipe for failure. Start with 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes earlier than you normally wake up. Use those 15 minutes to do something for yourself. Read a page in a book. Write in a journal. Think about your goals. Plan your day. After a week of 15 minutes, add another 15 minutes, then another. Build the habit gradually. Let your body adjust. Let your mind adapt. Remember, we're not looking for a dramatic change overnight. We're looking for a sustainable transformation over time. And here's something important. Don't tell yourself you're not a morning person. That's just a story you've been telling yourself to justify sleeping in. You're whatever kind of person you decide to be. If you decide to be someone who rises early, then that's who you become. It's that simple. The early morning hours are different from any other time of day. There's a stillness, a clarity, a possibility that exists in those hours that you can't find anywhere else. The world is quiet, your mind is fresh. Your energy is high, your focus is sharp. This is when successful people do their most important work. They use this time to read and learn. They use this time to plan and strategize. They use this time to exercise and energize. They use this time to think and reflect. They use this time to work on themselves so they can be better for everyone else. And that brings me to the second habit that all high achievers practice every single morning. Once they've claimed their time by rising early, they invest that time in the most valuable asset they have, their mind. You see, most people start their day by consuming. They consume the news, they consume social media, they consume other people's thoughts and opinions and problems. They fill their minds with information that doesn't help them grow, doesn't help them improve, doesn't help them succeed. But successful people start their day differently. They start by feeding their mind with something that will make them better. They read books that teach them new skills. They listen to programs that expand their thinking. They study materials that challenge their assumptions and broaden their perspective. Here's why this is so important. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in it will grow. If you plant negative thoughts, you'll harvest negative results. If you plant limiting beliefs, you'll harvest limited success. But if you plant positive ideas, if you plant growth-oriented concepts, if you plant success principles, then that's what you'll harvest in your life. The morning is the best time to plant these seeds because your mind is most receptive then. It's like fresh soil, ready to receive whatever you choose to put in it. Don't waste this opportunity by filling it with junk. Use it to plant something valuable. Here's something I learned from a mentor who told me, Jim, successful people are always students. They never stop learning. They never stop growing. They never stop feeding their minds with new ideas and fresh perspectives. He was right. Every successful person I've ever met is constantly reading, constantly learning, constantly expanding their knowledge. But here's the key. They don't just read anything. They read with purpose. They choose books and materials that will help them grow in specific areas. If they want to improve their leadership skills, they read about leadership. If they want to build better relationships, they read about communication. If they want to increase their income, they read about business and economics. They treat their morning reading time like an investment, because that's exactly what it is. Every page you read is a deposit in your knowledge bank. Every concept you learn is a tool you can use to build a better life. Every idea you absorb is a seed that can grow into an opportunity. Here's a story that shows this point. I once knew a man who worked in a factory. He wasn't educated. He didn't have special skills. He didn't have wealthy parents or powerful connections. But he had something more valuable than any of those things. He had a commitment to learning. Every morning before work, he would spend 30 minutes reading business books, not novels, not newspapers, not magazines, business books. Books about success, books about wealth building, books about entrepreneurship, books about personal development. And his coworkers thought he was crazy. They said, "Why are you reading that stuff? You work in a factory. You don't need to know about business." But he ignored them. He kept reading. He kept learning. He kept growing. After 2 years of this daily habit, something remarkable happened. He had learned enough about business to see an opportunity that others missed. He noticed a problem in the manufacturing process that could be solved with a simple innovation. He developed a solution, patented it, and licensed it to his company. That innovation made him wealthy. Not overnight, but over time. And it all started with 30 minutes of reading every morning. 30 minutes of feeding his mind instead of wasting his time. 30 minutes of investment instead of entertainment. This is the power of morning learning. It doesn't just give you knowledge. It gives you the ability to see opportunities that others miss. It gives you the skills to solve problems that others can't solve. It gives you the confidence to take action when others hesitate. But here's what's important to understand. The type of reading matters. Not all books are created equal. Not all learning produces equal results. You need to be selective about what you put in your mind, especially in those precious morning hours. Choose books that challenge you. Choose materials that stretch your thinking. Choose content that makes you uncomfortable, because growth happens outside your comfort zone. Don't just read what confirms what you already believe. Read what challenges what you think you know. Read about subjects that relate to your goals. If you want to start a business, read about entrepreneurship. If you want to be a better leader, read about leadership. If you want to improve your relationships, read about communication and psychology. Make your reading strategic, not random. And here's a practical tip. Don't try to read for hours every morning. Start with just 15 to 20 minutes. That's enough time to read 5 to 10 pages in most books. That might not sound like much, but over a year, that's more than 300 pages. That's multiple books. That's a significant investment in your personal growth. Keep a notebook with you while you read. Write down the key ideas. Capture the important concepts. Record the quotes that inspire you, because reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting. The real value comes when you process what you've read and think about how to apply it to your life. And don't just read, act on what you learn. Knowledge without action is worthless. Every time you learn something new, ask yourself, how can I use this? What can I do with this information? How can this help me achieve my goals? Then make a plan to implement what you've learned. The successful understand that learning is not a passive activity, it's an active investment. They don't read to pass time, they read to create time. They read to make their time more valuable. They read to increase their earning potential. They read to expand their possibilities. This daily habit of morning learning creates a compound effect. Each day, you're a little bit smarter than you were the day before. Each day, you have a few more tools in your toolbox. Each day, you're better equipped to handle whatever challenges come your way. Over time, this small daily investment produces extraordinary results. It's the difference between people who stay stuck in the same place for years and people who continuously grow and improve. It's the difference between people who react to change and people who create change. Now let me tell you about the third habit that all high achievers practice every morning. After they've claimed their time by rising early, after they've invested in their mind through learning, they take control of their day through planning. Most people start their day without a plan. They wake up and ask, what should I do today? But successful people wake up already knowing what they're going to do. They've planned their day the night before, or they spend the first few minutes of their morning creating a clear roadmap for the hours ahead. Here's why this is so powerful. When you start your day with a plan, you start with purpose. You know where you're going and how you're going to get there. You're not wandering through your day hoping something good will happen. You're directing your day to make sure something good does happen. Planning isn't just about making a to-do list. Anyone can make a list. Planning is about prioritizing. It's about deciding what's most important and making sure those important things get done first. It's about being intentional with your time instead of just being busy. I learned this lesson from watching unsuccessful people. They're always busy, but they're never productive. They have long lists of things to do, but they never seem to accomplish anything meaningful. They work hard, but they don't work smart. The difference is planning. Successful people don't just plan what they're going to do, they plan when they're going to do it. They don't just have goals, they have schedules. They don't just have intentions, they have systems. They understand that a goal without a plan is just a wish, and a plan without a schedule is just a dream. Now here's a simple planning system that has transformed countless lives. It's called the Big Three method. Every morning identify the 3 most important things you need to accomplish that day. Not 10 things, not 5 things, 3 things. Why 3? Because 3 is manageable, 3 is achievable, 3 allows you to focus instead of scatter your energy. When you try to do everything, you accomplish nothing. When you focus on 3 important things, you make real progress. But here's the key. These 3 things must be important, not just urgent. There's a big difference. Urgent things demand your attention right now. Important things contribute to your long-term success. Most people spend their entire day on urgent things and never get to the important ones. That's why they stay stuck. High achievers do the opposite. They focus on important things first. They make sure their important tasks get done before the urgent ones take over their day. They understand that important things rarely seem urgent, but urgent things are rarely important. When you're choosing your big 3 for the day, ask yourself these questions. If I could only accomplish 3 things today, what would they be? What 3 tasks would make the biggest difference in moving me toward my goals? What 3 activities would make me feel most satisfied at the end of the day? Write these 3 things down. Don't just think about them. Write them down. There's power in putting pen to paper. When you write something down, you're making a commitment. You're telling your subconscious mind that this is important. You're programming yourself for success. And here's something else that's important. Plan your day around your energy, not just your schedule. We all have times when we're naturally more focused and productive. For most people, this is in the morning. That's why successful people do their most important work early in the day. Don't waste your peak energy hours on low-value activities. Don't spend your best thinking time checking emails or attending unnecessary meetings. Save those activities for when your energy is lower. Use your prime time for your prime activities. I remember talking to a CEO who told me something that changed how I think about planning. He said, "Jim, I don't manage my time. I manage my energy. Time is fixed. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. But energy is variable. The key is to align your most important work with your highest energy periods." He was absolutely right. When you plan your day around your energy cycles, you get more done in less time. You produce better results with less effort. You work smarter, not just harder. Here's another important aspect of morning planning. Review your long-term goals every day. Don't let your daily activities become disconnected from your bigger vision. Every task you do should either move you toward your goals or support someone else who's moving toward theirs. Ask yourself, how do today's activities connect to my monthly goals? How do my monthly goals connect to my yearly goals? How do my yearly goals connect to my life vision? This keeps you focused on what really matters instead of getting lost in the day-to-day minutia. And don't forget to plan for obstacles. Successful people don't just plan what they want to do. They plan for what might go wrong. They ask, what could prevent me from accomplishing my big three today? What obstacles might I face? How can I prepare for them or work around them? This isn't negative thinking. This is strategic thinking. When you anticipate obstacles, you're not surprised by them. When you prepare for challenges, you're ready to handle them. When you have backup plans, you stay on track even when things don't go perfectly. Planning also means saying no to things that don't align with your priorities. This might be the hardest part of planning, but it's also the most important. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. Every minute you spend on low-value activities is a minute you can't spend on high-value activities. Successful people are as disciplined about what they don't do as they are about what they do. They protect their time like the valuable resource it is. They understand that you can't do everything, so you better make sure you're doing the right things. Here's a story about a businesswoman I met who transformed her career through better planning. She was working long hours but wasn't getting promoted. She was busy all day but wasn't making progress on her goals. She felt like she was running on a treadmill, working hard but not getting anywhere. Then she started spending 15 minutes every morning planning her day. She identified her big three. She aligned her task with her energy. She said no to activities that didn't serve her goals. She focused on important things instead of just urgent things. Within 6 months, her productivity had doubled. Within a year, she got the promotion she'd been working toward for 3 years. Within 2 years, she was running her own department, all because she learned to plan her days instead of just hoping for the best. This is the power of morning planning. It turns hope into strategy. It turns wishes into action plans. It turns dreams into achievable goals. It gives you control over your day instead of letting your day control you. But planning alone isn't enough. You also need energy to execute your plans. You need physical strength to match your mental strategy. You need vitality to fuel your vision. And that brings me to the fourth habit that all high achievers practice every morning. They move their body, they exercise, they understand that physical fitness isn't separate from success, it's fundamental to success. Your body is the vehicle that carries you toward your goals. If the vehicle isn't working well, you're not going to reach your destination. Most people think of exercise as something extra, something they'll do if they have time, something they'll get to eventually. But successful people think of exercise as essential, as non-negotiable, as the foundation that everything else is built on. Here's why morning exercise is so powerful. It doesn't just improve your physical health. It improves your mental clarity. It increases your energy for the entire day. It builds discipline that carries over into every other area of your life. It creates confidence that affects how you approach challenges and opportunities. When you exercise in the morning, you're not just working out your body. You're working out your mind. You're training yourself to do difficult things. You're building the mental muscle that helps you push through resistance in all areas of your life. I used to think I didn't have time to exercise. I thought it was a luxury I couldn't afford. I was too busy, too focused on work, too committed to other priorities. But then I realized something important. I didn't have time not to exercise. The energy and clarity it gave me made everything else more effective. Think about it this way. Would you rather have 16 productive hours or 18 tired hours? Would you rather work with high energy and sharp focus or low energy and foggy thinking? The time you invest in exercise pays dividends throughout the entire day. The morning exercise doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need expensive equipment or fancy gym memberships. You can do push-ups and sit-ups in your living room. You can take a brisk walk around your neighborhood. You can do jumping jacks and stretches. You can climb stairs. The key is movement, not perfection. Start small, start simple. Start with just 10 or 15 minutes. Do something that gets your heart rate up and your blood flowing. Do something that challenges your body and engages your mind. Do something that makes you feel strong and capable and ready to take on the day. I remember reading about a successful entrepreneur who said his morning workout was his daily victory. Even if everything else went wrong that day, he had already accomplished something meaningful. He had already kept a commitment to himself. He had already done something difficult. He had already won. That's a powerful way to think about morning exercise. It's your first victory of the day. It's proof that you can do hard things. It's evidence that you can keep commitments to yourself. It's a foundation of strength that everything else can be built on. Exercise also helps with stress management. The challenges and pressures of pursuing success can be overwhelming. But when you start your day with physical activity, you're better equipped to handle whatever stress comes your way. You've already released tension, you've already built resilience, you've already created a buffer against the demands of the day. And here's something interesting about successful people in exercise. They don't exercise to look good, although that's often a result. They exercise to perform well. They understand that their physical condition directly affects their mental performance. They know that a strong body supports a strong mind. The discipline required for regular exercise also builds discipline in other areas. When you train yourself to get up early and work out, even when you don't feel like it, you're building the same mental muscle that helps you make sales calls when you don't feel like it, or work on your goals when you don't feel like it, or persist through challenges when you don't feel like it. Physical fitness creates mental fitness. Physical strength creates mental strength. Physical discipline creates mental discipline. The habits you build in one area of your life tend to reinforce the habits in other areas. Now let me share the fifth and final habit that high achievers practice every morning. After they've claimed their time, fed their mind, planned their day, and energized their body, they do something that might surprise you. They practice gratitude. Gratitude isn't just feel-good fluff. It's a success strategy. It's a mental discipline that changes how you see the world and how the world responds to you. It's a habit that successful people cultivate because they understand its power. Here's what gratitude does. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. It changes your perspective from scarcity to abundance. It transforms your mindset from victim to victor. It helps you see opportunities instead of obstacles, possibilities instead of problems, resources instead of limitation. When you start your day with gratitude, you start with the right mindset. You're not focused on what you lack. You're focused on what you have to work with. You're not dwelling on what's wrong with your life. You're acknowledging what's right with your life. You're not coming from a place of need. You're coming from a place of abundance. Most people start their day thinking about what they don't have. They think about the money they don't have, the opportunities they don't have, the support they don't have, the resources they don't have. This creates a mindset of lack that affects everything they do throughout the day. But successful people start their day thinking about what they do have. They think about their health, their family, their opportunities, their abilities, their experiences, their resources. This creates a mindset of abundance that attracts more abundance into their life. Gratitude is like a magnet. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you tend to notice more things to be grateful for. When you appreciate what you have, you tend to receive more things to appreciate. When you acknowledge your blessings, you tend to be blessed with more. But gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's also about performing better. When you're grateful, you're more optimistic. When you're more optimistic, you're more creative. When you're more creative, you're more innovative. When you're more innovative, you're more successful. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude are more resilient, more confident, more productive, and more successful. They handle stress better. They build stronger relationships. They make better decisions. They achieve more goals. They live more fulfilling lives. Here's a simple way to practice gratitude every morning. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not the same 3 things every day. 3 specific things that you're grateful for today. They can be big things or small things. They can be about your past, your present, or your future. Maybe you're grateful for your health, your family, and the opportunity to work on your dreams. Maybe you're grateful for a good night's sleep, a warm cup of coffee, and the sunrise outside your window. Maybe you're grateful for a lesson you learned, a friend who supported you, and a goal you're working toward. The key is to be specific and to feel the gratitude, not just think it. Don't just write, I'm grateful for my family. Write, I'm grateful for my daughter's laugh this morning. Or, I'm grateful for my spouse's support of my goals. Or, I'm grateful for the time I spent with my parents last weekend. When you're specific, you're more connected to the emotion of gratitude. When you're connected to the emotion, you're more likely to carry that positive feeling throughout your day. When you carry positive feelings, you're more likely to have positive experiences. Gratitude also helps you maintain perspective during difficult times. Success isn't a straight line. There will be setbacks, challenges, failures, and disappointments. When you practice gratitude regularly, you're better equipped to handle these inevitable difficulties. Instead of being overwhelmed by what's going wrong, you can remember what's going right. Instead of being defeated by temporary setbacks, you can be strengthened by permanent blessings. Instead of losing hope in dark moments, you can find light in the good things that remain constant in your life. I remember going through a particularly difficult period in my business. Everything seemed to be falling apart. I was stressed, discouraged, and tempted to give up. But I had developed the habit of morning gratitude, and it literally saved me during that time. Every morning, even when things looked bleak, I would write down 3 things I was grateful for. Sometimes it was difficult to find 3 things, but I forced myself to do it. And gradually, that practice helped me see that even in the midst of serious problems, there were still blessings in my life. That shift in perspective gave me the strength to keep going. It reminded me that setbacks are temporary, but growth is permanent. It helped me focus on solutions instead of problems. It kept me moving forward when everything in me wanted to quit. This is the power of gratitude. It doesn't eliminate challenges, but it gives you the strength to face them. It doesn't prevent problems, but it helps you solve them. It doesn't guarantee easy success, but it makes the journey toward success more enjoyable and sustainable. Now, here's how all 5 habits work together to create morning magic. When you rise early, you claim your time. When you feed your mind, you expand your possibilities. When you plan your day, you direct your energy. When you exercise your body, you build your strength. When you practice gratitude, you cultivate the right mindset. Each habit supports the others. Early rising gives you time for learning, planning, exercise, and gratitude. Learning gives you ideas to plan, energy to exercise, and reasons for gratitude. Planning helps you use your learning, schedule your exercise, and appreciate your opportunities. Exercise gives you energy for learning, clarity for planning, and reasons for gratitude. Gratitude enhances your learning, improves your planning, and motivates your exercise. Together, these 5 habits create a powerful morning routine that sets you up for success every single day. They transform your mornings from rushed, reactive, chaotic experiences into calm, proactive, purposeful foundations for achievement. But here's what's important to understand. You don't have to implement all 5 habits at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm and failure. Start with one habit, master it, make it automatic, then add another. Build your morning routine gradually, systematically, sustainably. Maybe you start with rising 30 minutes earlier. Once that becomes natural, add 15 minutes of reading. Once that's established, add 5 minutes of planning. Once that's routine, add 10 minutes of exercise. Once that's consistent, add 3 minutes of gratitude. Before you know it, you'll have a powerful morning routine that takes less than an hour but transforms your entire day. You'll have a system that builds success habits, develops personal discipline, and creates positive momentum that carries you toward your goals. Remember, success isn't about dramatic changes overnight. Success is about small, consistent improvements over time. It's about building habits that compound, creating systems that support your goals, and developing disciplines that strengthen your character. Your morning routine is your success routine. How you start your day determines how you live your life. The habits you practice in the morning become the patterns you follow throughout the day. The discipline you build in those first hours becomes the foundation for everything else you accomplish. So I challenge you to start tomorrow morning. Not next week, not next month, tomorrow morning. Set your alarm 30 minutes earlier. Use those 30 minutes to begin building the habits that will transform your life. Start with just one habit. Rise early and use that time to read something that will make you better, or use it to plan your most important tasks for the day, or use it to exercise and energize your body, or use it to practice gratitude and cultivate the right mindset. Whatever you choose, be consistent. Do it every day, not just when you feel like it. Success is built on consistency, not intensity. It's better to do something small every day than something big occasionally. And be patient with yourself. Building new habits takes time. Changing your routine requires adjustment. Creating lasting transformation demands persistence. Don't expect perfection immediately. Expect progress gradually. The successful understand that morning routines aren't just about mornings. They're about creating a life of purpose, productivity, and fulfillment. They're about taking control of your time instead of letting time control you. They're about being proactive instead of reactive. They're about designing your life instead of just living it. Your mornings are too valuable to waste. Your time is too precious to squander. Your potential is too important to ignore. You have the power to transform your life by transforming your mornings. You have the ability to achieve extraordinary results by developing ordinary habits practiced consistently over time. The choice is yours. You can continue to stumble through your mornings, or you can stride into them with purpose. You can keep starting your days in reaction mode, or you can begin them in creation mode. You can remain a passenger in your own life, or you can become the driver of your destiny. High achievers aren't born different. They just develop different habits. They don't have more time. They just use their time more wisely. They don't face fewer challenges. They just prepare for challenges more effectively. They don't have special advantages. They just create advantages through their daily disciplines. Starting tomorrow morning, you can join their ranks. You can develop the habits that separate achievers from dreamers. You can build the disciplines that transform potential into performance. You can create the routines that turn ordinary mornings into extraordinary foundations for success. The alarm will ring tomorrow morning just like it always does, but this time, when it rings, you'll be ready. You'll rise, not because you have to, but because you want to. You'll start your day not with dread, but with determination. You'll begin your morning not as a victim of circumstances, but as a creator of possibilities. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your opportunity to start every morning like a high achiever. The 5 habits I've shared with you today aren't complicated theories. They're proven practices. They aren't untested ideas. They're battle-tested strategies that have worked for thousands of successful people across every industry, every background, every circumstance. Rise early and own your time. Feed your mind with valuable knowledge. Plan your day with clear intention. Exercise your body for strength and energy. Practice gratitude for the right mindset. These 5 habits, practiced consistently, will revolutionize not just your mornings, but your entire life. But let me leave you with this final thought. Knowledge without action is worthless. Understanding without implementation accomplishes nothing. Knowing what to do, but not doing it, is the greatest tragedy of human potential. You now know what high achievers do every morning. You now understand how morning routines create successful lives. You now have the blueprint for transforming your days and ultimately your destiny. The question isn't whether these habits work. The question is whether you'll work these habits. Success is waiting for you on the other side of discipline. Achievement is waiting for you on the other side of consistency. The life you want is waiting for you on the other side of the habits you're willing to build. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, remember this conversation. Remember these 5 habits. Remember that you have the power to change everything by changing how you start each day. Remember that high achievers aren't born, they're made. And they're made one morning at a time, one habit at a time, one choice at a time. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make tomorrow morning. Your dreams are depending on the disciplines you develop starting now. Your success story is waiting to be written, and it begins with how you choose to start each and every day. The morning is calling. Success is waiting. Your new life is ready to begin. All you have to do is answer the call, meet the challenge, and start every morning like the high achiever you're destined to become. The choice is yours. The time is now. The opportunity is here. What will you choose to do with it? Now here's something else about these 5 habits. They don't just change your mornings, they change your character. Every time you choose to rise early when you'd rather sleep in, you're building discipline. Every time you choose to read when you'd rather scroll through your phone, you're building wisdom. Every time you choose to plan when you'd rather wing it, you're building intentionality. Every time you choose to exercise when you'd rather be comfortable, you're building strength. Every time you choose gratitude when you'd rather complain, you're building positivity. These choices compound, these decisions accumulate, these habits become who you are, not just what you do. Because here's the truth about success that most people miss. Success isn't just about what you achieve. Success is about who you become in the process of achieving it. The person who consistently practices these 5 morning habits becomes someone different. They become someone more disciplined, more focused, more productive, more confident, more resilient. They become someone who attracts opportunities instead of waiting for them. They become someone who creates solutions instead of complaining about problems. They become someone who leads their life instead of following circumstances. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you become this person, success becomes inevitable. Not immediate, but inevitable. Because successful people naturally create successful outcomes. Disciplined people naturally achieve disciplined results. Focused people naturally accomplish focused objectives. Your morning routine is your daily vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every morning you're either voting for the person who settles for average or the person who strives for excellence. Every morning you're either voting for the person who reacts to life or the person who creates life. Every morning you're either voting for the person you've always been or the person you're capable of becoming. Make your vote count. Make your mornings matter. Make your habits work for you instead of against you. Because in the end, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your morning system determines everything else. Remember this. Every morning is a fresh start. Every sunrise is a new opportunity. Every day is a blank page waiting for you to write your story. You can write a story of excuses or a story of excellence. You can write a story of mediocrity or a story of magnificence. You can write a story of settling or a story of striving. The pen is in your hand, the page is before you, the choice is always yours. High achievers understand this. They know that yesterday's failures don't determine today's possibilities. They know that past mistakes don't dictate future outcomes. They know that where you've been doesn't determine where you're going. What determines where you're going is what you do starting tomorrow morning. What you choose when the alarm rings. What habits you embrace when the world is still sleeping. What disciplines you practice when no one is watching. Start every morning like this. Start every morning like a champion. Your future depends on it.